welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome to # Cold Beer Sunday, but more importantly, Game of Thrones Sunday.
Winter is here!
The winter is here, and I'm flipping out. We did a Doctor Who for the review for the season, and we decided to do, once that got done, we decided to do a Game of Thrones, and so we spent the last week or so getting caught up on both Season 5 and Season 6. So we're up to date with everything, and
it's fresh in our minds.
In fact, we ended it on Thursday last week, and then the episode was Sunday.
Yep.
So good on us. So here was the episode. We've been waiting a year for this episode to show up.
Yep.
And
so you said June
26th of last year was the last one.
Was the last one.
And now here we go. And this episode starts with a
bang?
Wait.
Oh yeah. This is spoiler filled.
This is going to be spoiler filled because there's no way you can talk about Game of Thrones without spoiling everything. And the episode's been off for 23 minutes when we started this episode, so you've been warned. Okay, so spoilers. Episode starts with a bang.
Yes. So we are in House Frey, and Walder Frey is apparently having a banquet again.
Another one.
Another one, and he says, "Hey, I know we just had one of these, but we're gonna have another one, and because you're all my best." And
he called them his family, which that should have been a clue. You're all my family. Yeah.
I mean, it's the house. It's the house of Frey, and he gets his girls to hand out some wine, and they're all toasting what a great job they did at the Red Wedding and killing off the Starks, except they left one, and now all of a sudden they're all starting to feel the effects of the wine, and they start dropping like flies, and Walder rips off his face, and it's Aria.
Oh, it was so awesome. And we're like 3 minutes into the first episode.
Yes.
It's like full on, like, here we go. Oh, okay. Look, Game of Thrones is back. We're killing off 50 people at a time now. And when the episode started, because we had just watched the season before with Walder, and is it called the Twins?
Yeah,
the city.
Yeah, the Twins.
He was having a banquet by himself.
Yes.
And so
him and one of his girls
or whatever were having a banquet by themselves, and then Aria shows up and then does her thing. And so when this episode starts, I'm like, it's a flashback.
It's a flashback, yeah.
It's totally a flashback, and I'm gonna do this right here, and
getting feedback.
So there was this flashback that happened, and I was like, does Game of Thrones really do flashbacks? I mean, they kind of do flashbacks, but not like this. I guess
usually it's Bran.
It's usually Bran, right?
Being the three-eyed raven doing a flashback,
right? So it's a little weird, and and then.
And then she tells
motherfucker.
She tells the girl, remember to tell of this that
winter came for the
Freys.
Yeah. And eliminates everybody.
So now the House Frey is gone, so they can't be put into play later.
Yeah.
So then we had the opening scene. Stuff has changed as it does, right? So the flayed men are no longer in front of Winterfell, and
it was the White Wolf on the top of the spire.
Yeah.
And they worked from south to north.
They went
to the wall,
up to the wall, and then out west,
to
the Citadel.
Yeah.
So those are all. They didn't go across the narrow sea because Daenerys isn't there anymore, right? So they've come across. So now it's all just in. I can't think of the name of the continent.
Westeros.
Westeros. There you
go.
So
we're still trying to decompress everything that happened. So.
There was a scene with the White Walkers.
We'll get into that more later, but that scene I think is going to be way more important later in the season. But we'll get into that.
So the next big scene was back at Winterfell, and Jon and Sansa are kind of holding court, so to speak, and they're it's kind of a continuation of the meeting that they were having when they were discussing what's going to happen next for Winterfell.
Right.
And
so it looks like the same meeting where they make Jon king.
Yeah. I mean,
or the next day or something like that.
Everybody's still kind of sitting in the same place, so it
yeah.
might just be the same meeting. But so they were discussing the Cardsarks and the Umbries, who, when Jon and Sansa came to them before the battle with the Boltons, the Battle of the Bastards happened, came to them and said, "Hey, we need your help," and they were like, "Out,"
and they didn't do anything.
And so they were discussing.
Well, they sided with Ramsay.
They sided with Ramsay instead of Starks, which is what they had sworn to do for forever.
Yeah.
So they were trying to decide what to do with them, and Jon, wanted to basically forgive who was left. Now the heads of those households were dead,
right?
Because they fought for Ramsay, and so they were dead.
And they died in the Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah. So, but it was their kids basically who were left to carry on, and he wanted to forgive them or bring them back into the fold, and Sansa was like, nope, out.
Give them to loyal houses. And that was like her big thing was she's like, give them to loyal families to the Starks, not let them stay with these families who wouldn't follow us in our time of need.
Right. And his was, no, don't put the sins of the fathers on the sons, and so Jon basically won because he's been made king, and she's just a Stark, a woman, I guess.
I think it's more that she's just a Stark more than it is that he's king, so ultimately he has all the power, right?
Yeah,
but I think in that particular thing, it was you're just an advisor.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, some people have said, how's that power play, so a bastard is higher than a woman, except that in this whole meeting, there was the whole altercation with, or maybe not altercation, but discussion about how we're going to train all the men to fight, and they need to use the Dragonstone, and Jon's like, oh, no, I'm not sending half the population out. We're sending the whole population out, and it will be all women, children, everybody. And there was...
and then what's her... God, I cannot remember. The girl who's the head of the Bears?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
I can't remember her name right now. I'm shipping on her really bad right now because she just pretty much stood up and said, I'm going to train everyone. I'm a girl, and I'm little, and I'm still just as responsible for my people, but also I'm not willing to die to the army of the dead and become a member of the army. I'm
without trying,
right? And so she...
So the whole, because Sansa's a girl thing doesn't quite make sense to me.
No.
I'm not sure what's going on there, but they ultimately made Jon king, and so he's king, and she's his hand. She's the hand of the king, kind of. It hasn't been made official
right now. Yeah.
And then Littlefinger's standing over there in the corner, going, just waiting for her to get tired of playing second fiddle, and because Littlefinger apparently likes redheads, and so he wants to take her off and have his way with her, I guess, but. So anyway, that was kind of a big deal. There was the disagreement in the hall, and then it kind of carried out onto the balcony of the castle or the keep or whatever, where they continued to discuss that. So that's gonna probably be a reoccurring thing.
She's the one that wants the throne and the Iron Throne, and he didn't want to be king of the North. So there's gonna be conflict there, but he does control the army. And ultimately, when it comes down to the North,
but she could turn around and play I'm the pretty redhead card to Littlefinger and take his army, and his army is the one that ultimately
saved their asses. Yeah.
So the Winterfell army is not all it needs to be right now. It's pretty lacking. So then we had Euron Greyjoy, who came to King's Landing. Searching for a queen, because he's a king without a queen.
He's arrogant king without a queen.
Oh yeah, yep.
So, yep. And a fleet.
And a fleet. Yes, I have what you need, and made some jabs at at her brother. I have two hands.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. Oh, we just lost it. Uh-oh.
All right. We can fake it from here.
But yeah, so he wants Cersei, I guess.
It's not that he wants Cersei specifically. He wants a queen with power, and to kind of give him credibility, because they actually even brought it up in the whole process of, you're just the other brother who killed your brother, and they tried to kill off they.
Well, yeah, he's still trying to prove some legitimacy, right? I mean, he just killed his brother off,
and he came from a kingdom that, like, Lannisters went and tried to kill off, and that whole scene where
they've been enemies for
right. So now, why should I trust you?
Right.
Why should you trust me? That kind of thing. And he came down to the whole. I have one thing I've ever wanted to do, and that was to marry the most beautiful woman in the world.
Yeah.
Who happens to be sitting on the Iron Throne currently.
Right.
But his thing that out of that whole scene that came to me was the idea of, you're not going to trust me until I prove myself. I'm going to go get you something that you really want.
Right.
And then come back with it. And he didn't say, I'm going to come back and I'm going to go get this thing, but you never say what this thing is. So that's going to be some continuous storyline through the entire season.
Yeah, and so what is it that he's going to go get? I mean, what she wants is Daenerys' head on a stake. So, but is he going to do that? Because that's I envision that to be a much bigger battle than Euron Greyjoy. I mean, she's going to wipe him out.
Right.
I mean, there's really no there's no battle there.
And so the other thing that kind of happened in that scene was he actually kind of tried to take a steps up the stairs to kind of make the meeting more intimate. And the Mountain,
no, he's not.
He was like, as soon as anybody goes towards her, he steps right in, and I love that because he's like, he's been programmed essentially to do whatever she says and protect her no matter what.
Yeah,
and I think that's gonna come back and bite brother boy. I cannot remember his name right now. Her brother.
Oh yeah, Jamie.
Lannister. I think it's gonna come back and bite Jamie in the ass at some point in time, where he's gonna try to right some wrongs against Cersei's advice.
Yeah, he doesn't seem 100% on the bandwagon with the direction that she is wanting to take.
Right.
There was a big scene with a map, and she's kind of going through, we're going to take this and we're going to take that. And he's like, but, these people, the Freys are gone, and these people aren't loyal to us. And, and so, yeah, he doesn't seem 100%.
He actually was like, who we got to get as an ally? I was a strong, powerful ally.
Yeah.
There's other houses out there, but they're not really going to be very strong. So that after what happened last season and Cersei kind of stepping in and taking over and essentially eliminating all the pieces off the board in that one scene where they blew up the keep with everybody in it. She went and removed everybody,
right? And
then her son took a short walk off of a long pier.
Yes.
But
we're not talking about last season. We're talking about this season.
Right.
Okay. So we have Sam at the Citadel. So we're back to the Citadel, back with Sam. Obviously, this is yes, show recovered files. This is a storyline that's going to continue, right?
Yeah.
It seemed a little strange last season. Like, what is the point? Why are they? Why are they going?
Why are they spending so much time with Sam and
Gilly and the baby and going to so. He's at the Citadel. It was a very strange scene of a little gross of, the bed pots and the soup. He's cleaning out bedpans and then pouring soup that looks a lot like the stuff he just poured out of the bedpans, and putting books away and being stacked upon with these books, and basically, his day-to-day life at the Citadel, learning to be a maester, is pretty boring and disgusting. And
and nothing that he thought it was going to be.
Right, which, tends to be the thing. You think you're going to go and you're going to learn all this stuff. Well, you need to learn all the icky stuff first before you get to learn the big stuff. Right. The big thing there's this secret room that you have to have keys, you got to be a maester to get into, that has the books that he really needs to get to, that has potentially some answers or some help.
Right.
To going after the Nightwalkers.
And he does. He gets in. He gets a book. He gets several books out, and he goes through one, and he finds a old Lannister book that shows a map where the Dragonglass is on the map, and we'll talk about what that is in a second when we get to the next the next story down the line. But it's an important part to understand because the show is so much about the map.
Right.
And so
the beginning is a map.
Right.
Everything's a map.
And so it's very important that and I'm really glad they showed it as the map.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. So an Easter egg. Yes. Aria is wandering through the forest on her horse, and she's going to King's Landing to ultimately kill Cersei, I guess, because she was a name on her list. And she comes across a group of an army or a small group of fighters that appear to be Lannister fighters, and one of the fighters is singing with a great voice, and he turns around and
it's Ed Sheeran.
Which
was awesome. We're like, hey, hey!
Which explains the great voice, right?
Right.
There's only a few guys that can sing that high.
Yeah.
That well.
And that, I think, is going to be we won't go into it too much, but I think that scene
has more.
It's very short and very kind of matter of fact, and then they move on, and there's really no like.
But it's poignant because she scopes them out. She looks at all of their arms.
Yeah.
So she's aware of where all their swords are being stashed for the moment. They ask her where she's going. She says she's going to King's Landing to kill the queen.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a tense moment there, and then they all start laughing. Ah! Yeah. And then that's it. Yeah. You never go back to that. So that was interesting. But yeah.
Yeah.
So then we go to Brothers Without Banners and the Hound. Right? So the Hound is on the road with the Brothers Without Banners, and they are going someplace, but he's not really sure where they're going. They have a mission, and he has met up with them, so that means he
didn't have anything else to do.
That's true. He doesn't. He's been dead, and then he came back, and then his people were killed, or his friend. I don't know. Friends? Does the Hound have friends? But so they end up at a house, which is the house from several seasons ago when he was with Aria, and Aria's trying to kind of make him good. They stop at this house. It's a man and his daughter. They say, "Hey, you can stay here, for the night. We'll feed you." They're all they're very nice to them. And the Hound stabs him. If I remember right, this was several seasons ago, but if I remember right, he stabs him in the gut. They take what little that these people had. He does. The Hound does, and Aria's like, "Why did you do this? These people were being nice to us. They fed us. They were and he's like, he's the Hound. He's like, whatever. They're just gonna die this winter anyway." And so we find out what happened was, ultimately the dad ended up kind of dragging himself or something into bed. Maybe the little girl helped him into bed, and it looks like he probably killed her, because she was too little to be able to take care of herself if he died, and he was obviously going to die, so it kind of looks like he probably killed her and then he died. So now the Hound he's continually being confronted with the complete asshole he was before, and having to kind of...
It's very much the redemption of the Hound.
Yeah.
It's the Hound Redemption Tour. They need concert shirts and stuff, but yeah, he the little sect that he was with, and then the guys came in and now he's
with the Brothers Without Banners, which are guys that he was with before,
right?
And now he's at this house, and so it's the redemption story of the Hound. But the big part of that whole thing was that the one guy, and I don't remember what his name is. He's the guy with the
Man bun.
Man bun, yeah.
He actually even makes fun of it, too.
Makes fun of his man bun.
Yeah.
Tells him to come look in the fire. He looks in the fire, and he has a vision, right?
Yeah. He has a vision of ice and snow and a great wall. And then he says, I see the Night King. Is it the Night King?
Yeah.
And the undead, and they're walking in the snow towards a mountain in the shape of an arrow.
Right.
So, to go back, at the beginning of the episode, they showed the Night King and his army and his 3 dead giants.
Undead giants.
Walking. One of them is the one from during the fight of the battle of Bastards to win Winterfell, the one that was one of the wildlings.
It looks like it.
That's what it looks like. And then but there's 3 of them. So now we're talking about the undead and their fucking giants. But that was the opening scene after the opening credits, was them showing this army and
walking in the snow
and everything, and then Sam finds this mountain that looks like an arrow where the dragon glass is on the map that in the Lannister book. So it's all the pieces are kind of doing this, and it's really weird. Like the Hound, he was like, he's a little iffy about fire, right? Yeah. So, get burned one time and mess up your face.
He had a bad experience.
Exactly. And so he goes over, and the other guys in the Brothers Without Banners all like stand next to him as he's having this vision, staring into the fire.
Yeah.
And he backs up, and finally they all say, "Now, do you understand?"
Yeah, we told you we had a mission.
We had a mission.
We have a mission.
Oh, okay. Oh.
But it also kind of so Sam sent a raven to Jon when he found the map with the mountain shaped like an arrow to tell him, you guys need to go there because that's where all the dragonglass is.
Yep.
But this is also where apparently now the undead is going. Maybe this is a way kind of around the wall.
Yeah, that's kind of how I took the Hound's speech.
Yeah,
is they're not going towards the wall; they found some way around it.
But then, so they're all going to converge there. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so then we have the. So Sam, we find Sir Jorah Mormont is in a cell in the Citadel.
Yeah.
And he sticks his arm out, and it's all covered with the dragon scale, so it's obviously advanced pretty much up his arm, and Sam's like, who are you? And you just see his profile, but it's Jorah Mormont.
And he asks, he says, "Is the Dragon Queen here?"
Yeah.
And Sam's like, "Not yet." He's
yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
And he goes and they close the door. That was the whole thing. So you at least know where he is now.
Yeah. So he must have gone to the Citadel, gone to the Maesters to help to try to cure him,
right?
Because that was what Daenerys told him: go find a cure so you can come back to me. And then Daenerys and the army, the Unsullied and
the unwashed and the the giant fleet and
so they all land. They land at Dragonstone, which is
we need to come up with a name with them. So they're like the conglomeration of everything because it's pieces and parts of a different things.
Daenerys' army. They land at Dragonstone, which is the castle where she was born. This is the Targaryen family estate. I don't know, family castle, whatever. Yeah. But it's been abandoned for a long time. So they land there and they go in, and she's checking everything out. I think she's kind of having some maybe memories or something of, there's the hall and the throne.
Yeah.
I think I'd tear that throne down. It's ugly.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
And if you have bad memories of it too.
Yeah. I don't know how much she remembers. I don't remember she was small.
Right.
So I don't know how much she remembers, but yeah, her dad was crazy. So I mean, if she's gonna put that throne with her dad and bad memories, she might. Right. But it was just ugly. Tear it down. Make something cool because she's pretty. And they go into her dad's
Command Center?
Yeah.
There's this giant map. It looks like Westeros, but you can't really tell. It's super dusty. And
it's a big table map.
It's a big table map. It's huge. It's like the whole room. And there's like ships and guys on horses. So stuff like you would like place as to kind of explain the whole where armies and where things were and stuff like that and stuff. And so she walks through and then
so she like kind of looks out the window and Tyrion's kind of looking at the stuff on the wall and he turns around and does he say something to her first?
No.
He just turns around and looks at her and she says, "Shall we begin?" And that's it.
And they roll the black. And that scene is, I think, really impactful too because it's the last like 3-4 minutes of the episode, and there's no music, there's
no talking.
There's no talking except for the "Shall we begin?"
Yeah,
and it's them landing on the beach and them opening the doors, and then the long walk up to the castle, and then like her like self contemplation in the hall, and then kind of remembering and stuff, and like okay, this is I built all this to get to this point so we can do the next thing.
Right.
And so it was, but I have to kind of remember who I was for a second, and now let's go.
Yeah.
And I just, overall was, I was like, oh, okay, she's not happy.
Well, and she's got a place to be. She's got a place for her army to be. She's got...
And it's a good stronghold because if you look at the map, it's an island.
Yeah, well, I think it's like a peninsula.
Yeah, but it's super defensible. It's super defensible, and she's got this giant armada with her now too, right. So it's very defensible.
But everybody knows she's there. I mean, they knew she was coming, and they know that's where she's going to go because that's her family's.
Cersei and Jaime both talked about that's where she was going to go.
So everybody knows, and Jon and Sansa are the only ones like, we don't have time for this thing down here. We've got these things up here that are going to come kill all of us. So it'll be interesting.
So overall, what did you think of this episode after everything that we waited a year? Winter is here. What did you think of this episode?
I thought it was a good episode because they started off strong with the whole Aria and
her revenge tour,
Walder to Frey, and her it was, and we're back.
Yeah.
And then there was some dealing with stuff. Jaime saying to Cersei, "We haven't even talked about Tommen yet."
Yeah.
And she's like, "He's dead. He killed himself. He was against me." And Jaime's like,
"I love my son, but he betrayed me."
Yeah.
And he killed himself out of guilt. He's ash now. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All our children are ash, and now it's just us. And you can see Jaime kind of. I think she's gone off the deep end. So that was a good show.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I was really impressed on. Game of Thrones has kind of got a rep now of kind of just like every episode is a hit, like bang, 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 and they didn't dick around with this one. It's like the first 5 minutes. We killing off 50 people, and Aria on her revenge tour is so awesome, and I like her story arc outside of everything else. However, I think there's something there for her coming along. I think she'll probably end up being the only one left standing when everything happens.
Yeah,
and stuff.
maybe, or I mean. There's so many things that could happen. She could end up getting there and actually killing Cersei. Yeah. And then what? Or I mean, there's a lot of.
So we'll do a quick little prediction maybe kind of thing. Who do you think is gonna die this season? Because that's Game of Thrones. Who's not gonna make it?
Oh well, who's not gonna make it? This season, that's hard to say. I don't think Jon's going to make it to the end. I don't think Cersei's going to make it to the end. I think Cersei might die this season.
I think Jaime's dying this season.
I think he might switch sides.
He might switch sides, which causes him to get killed.
It would be funny if Sansa and Littlefinger were the two that were left after everything that happened.
They'd be perfect for each other. The other prediction that we kind of talked about before the episode, but I kind of mentioned during the episode, and then we talked about it again after, is everybody's got their army, right? And so, Jon's got his army in the north, and Sansa's got her army, and
she's got Littlefinger's army.
She's got no, that
Sansa's
got little fingers with Jon, and then Cersei's got her little like Lannister group.
Yeah,
and then Dany's got her
the dragons. She's got a big army,
right? And so like all these armies are lining up, and I think what's going to end up happening is that there's going to be this clash, either at Winterfell or at where's frickin' Lannister City? I can't think of it.
King's Landing.
King's Landing.
Yeah.
So there's going to be this large. All the armies are going to converge in this one location, and they're all going to be fighting each other, and then the undead are all going to show up, and so they're all going to have to team together to kill off.
Yeah.
And I still think it's going to be King's Landing where that fight's going to end up happening, but she was saying it all started at Winterfell.
It's the show began in Winterfell.
Yeah.
And it's really a show about the Starks.
Right.
So I think, and that's a long ways for the undead to go all the way down to King's Landing when Winterfell's up by the wall.
But they say 1,000 miles, so between
Winterfell and then it's another, I don't know, probably 500 miles from Winterfell to the wall.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll make them that far.
So
but
some predictions for the season, just like this kind of, it's Game of Thrones. Who's gonna die? Who's gonna live? That kind of thing. And then
everybody dies.
Overall for the series, there's gonna be a clash at some point in time next season. So
yeah.
We will continue to keep doing these reviews every Sunday right after the episode. We will post them as soon as we get them done, and please share with all of your friends. You can get a hold of us at Facebook at the Pop Culture Cult. We are Pop Culture Cult 1 on Instagram, and we are at Pop_Cult1 on Twitter. Please like and subscribe all of our pages. Please let us know what you thought of this episode of the Game of Thrones, episode 1 of season 6, and let us know who you think's gonna make it and who's not gonna make it. More importantly, who's not gonna make it. Really, let's be honest. And until next Sunday, good night now.